Oh. ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधी वेदस्य माणिस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेन अहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्माम् अवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम्। ओम शांति शांति शांति। सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्य मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शंकरं लोकशंकरं। शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा जिह्वे पिबस्वामृतमेतदेव गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। Supreme Consciousness Bhagavan Krishna, through the verse 47, has started to expound upon what he popularly term it as Karma Yoga, which he is asking the entire mankind to adopt in case you want to really contribute towards your vertical growth in your life before you leave from here. So he says in this entire verse of verse number 47, Bhagavan gives few parameters. First, I'll read the verse again and then we'll take it forward from there. along with the verse, I'll also read Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji's Bhashya. Before completing this verse, we will take the meaning of what Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji is explaining in his Bhashya for this particular verse also. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhuhu ma te sanghostva karmani karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhuhu ma te sanghostva karmani. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji in his Bhashya says, कर्मणि एव अधिकारः न ज्ञाननिष्ठायां ते तव तत्र च कर्म कुर्वतो मा फलेषु अधिकारः अस्तु कर्मफलतृष्णा मा भूत् कदाचन कस्याञ्चित् अपि अवस्थायाम् इति अर्थः. यदा कर्मफले तृष्णा ते स्यात् तदा कर्मफलप्राप्तेः हेतुः स्याः एवं मा कर्मफलहेतुः भूः. यदा हि कर्मफल तृष्णा प्रयुक्तः कर्मणि प्रवर्तते तदा कर्मफलस्य एव जन्मनो हेतुः भवेत्. यदि कर्मफलं न इष्यते किं कर्मणा दुःखरूपेण इति माते तव संग अस्तु अकर्मणि अकरणे प्रीतिः मा भूत्. यदि कर्मफल प्रयुक्तेन न कर्तव्यं कर्म कथं तर्हि कर्तव्यम् इति उच्यते. एज अ संबंध टू द नेक्स्ट वर्स ही इज गिविंग दैट लाइन. So we'll see the meaning of what we saw a little meaning and quite elaborated discussion on this particular verse, and there are many points I spoke about in the previous session also and the previous to previous session also. So there are key points which Bhagwan says in this verse to us. Karmani eva adhikarate, te karmani eva adhikara. O Arjun, as a human, you only have right over your action, and the definition I gave was kartum akartum anyatha kartum shakyate. You can do, you can decide not to do, you can decide to change also. Anyatha kartum. You can decide to change at the level of action also. That is the level of freedom I spoke about in action. And I told you how do you define karma? Those things which are done with doership in mind. As a doer, the actions which are done. And there are two fields which are there, permitted fields also and prohibited field also, that will combinedly become an action. So he says, Arjun, te karmani eva adhikara. Now I am taking the second meaning. First meaning I have already given you in quite elaborated way, that te eva karmani adhikara, only humans have right over action vis-a-vis plants, birds and animals. So that's the one definition we have seen already. The next one is te karmani eva adhikara. Arjun, as a human, you only have right over action, and the right of action I have already told you. Kartum akartum anyatha kartum shakyate. Ma phaleshu adhikate phaleshu adhikarah ma. Arjun, as a human being, understand this and keep this in your mind very well. At the level of fruit or the result of action, you will see that I mentioned many places fruit and result. I'll explain you in the next verse what is the difference between fruit and result also. But the literal meaning of phala is fruit only. Fruit is the result, at end result of the action. But result can be different way, understood different way also. That's the reason I had used it interchangeably, result and fruit, because that's the way we all understand. But you take it this way, at the level of fruit of action, once the action fructifies. Fruit of action means once the action has reached a level to fructify, start giving you fruit of that, at that level you do not have a freedom. Te phaleshu adhikara ma, and kadachana, never ever will be there a point in time where you will have right over the fruit of action, or means freedom at the level of fruit of action. You won't be able to change kartum akartum anyatha kartum, you can't do it at all. So he says, and I told you this is the principle of life which Bhagwan has explained in the first half of this verse. He is not giving a teaching there. He is telling you that keep this in mind very clearly. This is the rule of life. This is the law which governs everyone in this creation, and we are all bound by this law. Nobody is devoid of this law at all. Arjun, so keep this understanding clearly, and with this only step into action. Now in the next half of this verse, Bhagwan is trying to give teaching there. Since this is this way, since the law of life is this way, that you only have a right over action, and you do not have any right over the fruit of action once it starts fructifying. That's why Arjun ma karma phala hetuhu bhuhu. Don't become in such a way that the primary motivating factor or the only motivating factor of your life is fruit of action only, which is what we primarily see here. And I gave you a couple of examples that I'm not repeating now. At the management level also I gave you promotion, reward, recognition. These are the three ways to, motivate employees. So Bhagwan says, Arjun, since the law of life is this way, that you have only right over the action, you have no right over the fruit of action. Yes, at the level of action you can decide and change so that your future fruit of action also changes accordingly. But at the level of receiving the fruit of action, you have no right at all. You can't change it at the time of receiving. You can't do any manipulation, any change with that at all. So Arjun, let not fruit be the only or the primary motivating factor of your action. And the next part, the fourth portion, the fourth quarter of this verse, or the last half of this second half of the verse, Bhagwan says, usual propensity, what happens with human being is that the moment fruit is removed from the equation of action as a motivating factor, man falls back into inaction. So Bhagwan says, Arjun, mate sangha astu akarmani. You should not, just because fruit of action is removed, don't come back and fall back into inaction. Now the fruit is not there, why should I act? Which is a normal propensity of any human being, so to say. And while explaining this in detail in the last two sessions, I gave you a couple of examples for you to just know. I gave you example of Bharatji. You see Bharatji, how he acted. Just think for a while. Bharatji served the Ayodhya kingdom for 14 years only to give it back to Ramji. He didn't take any enjoyment from there at all. He was, I told you, living outside the kingdom, sleeping outside the kingdom, below, dug a hole and was, sleeping below because Ramji is sleeping on the floor or earth, so I should, be a little bit below. All those things he did. He never took anything from there. What fruit he had to act like that? And I gave you the example also. He managed the king. It's not that he did a mediocre job of managing the Ayodhya kingdom and Ayodhya was in shambles by the time Bhagwan Ram came. No. Ayodhya was more wealthier than when Ramji went, whatever amount of wealth was there in Ayodhya was more wealthier after 14 years when Bhagwan Sri Ram came in. It was not in shambles. It was not mismanaged. It was not, mediocrely managed. No, nothing like that. He managed it very well. What fruit of action was there in his mind? What fruit he must have thought about? See Hanumanji. Hanumanji did so many things in his life to serve Bhagwan Ram. What fruit of action they had? And I give you another example of Hanumanji also. At the end, when Bhagwan decided to go back to Vaikuntha Lok, he created Saket Lok for the people who had stayed with him during the Treta Yuga. So Bhagwan said, Hanumanji, all these people from Ayodhya I am taking to Saket Lok, but I tell you, you should stay back. And I gave you that example also. Hanumanji could have, if Hanumanji would have been like us, he would have asked, what mistake did I do? Is this the punishment of me serving you? No, he never asked any such things at all. Bhagwan said, Bhagwan's order is everything. He never asked a single question to him. He never asked why, this, that and all those things, which we usually tend to ask. Why should I do this? Why should I be like this? Is this the way you should treat me? I have served you so long. You should have at least given me that priority. You should have given me that credit. People ask so many things like this, but Hanumanji never asked any such thing at all. And I gave you some other examples also. Lakshmanji also was an example which I gave you. He just walked with Ramji. He said, Bhagwan, I am very small. I don't understand dharma and adharma and all those kind of things. So, I only understand one thing. My dharma is actually serving you. So I will be closed eye towards everything. And I give you one more example. Those people, when the moment you start getting devoted towards God, or ईश्वर के प्रति आपकी भक्ति जग जाए, आप कर्तव्य प्रधान की बजाय ईश्वर परायण हो जाओ, मतलब means you have started devoting your actions towards God. At that time, one more thing which happens with you is that if there is a conflict between your duty and the thing assigned by Bhagwan, you can reach a position that you may give up your duty for the sake of God. This is the way a person who works for God or functions. And I told you the three levels of functions, three levels of people we have. One is most of us who work because of desire fulfillment. In that I spoke about three levels of people. One which is like common and people amongst us, which are work for only desire fulfillment, Ichha Purti. The second people are those people who are duty bound, Kartavya Parayan. So we say Ichha Parayan, for whom desire fulfillment is the only goal of doing any action. The second level of people are Kartavya Parayan, those people who are duty bound. Their intent of doing an action, their goal of doing an action is fulfillment of duty. So remember, those people who are Kartavyanist or Kartavya Parayan, and those people will at times when there are conflicting things, that things are not as per my desire, they will give up desire for the sake of duty. Because the Kartavya Parayan or duty bound people are higher than the people who work for desire fulfillment. So a duty bound person at many a times will do things which are not as per his desire. He may overgo his desire, he may forego his desire for the fulfillment of duty. Now the third level, which is the highest level which I spoke about in that session, was those people who are Ishwar Parayan. Ishwar Parayan means the one who do the duty, one who do the work or the action only for the sake of God. And their intent is what? My action should be such that my God is happy with me. It doesn't matter whether my desires are fulfilled also or not. It doesn't matter whether I get my desired things also or not. I'm ready to forego them. There will be times when such people may have conflicting things about doing duty also. And the example I gave you was Bharatji. Bharatji was told very clearly that since Bhagwan Rama has gone to the forest and your father's desire was also this, you should take over the kingdom and that should be your duty. He said, listen to me very clearly. I don't know all these things. My duty is to serve Bhagwan. Whatever he orders, I'll do. And he goes to Bhagwan and asks him, Bhagwan, I think I am a very, very low-lying devotee of you. I am an Adham Sevak. I am such a servant that who's very bad. Because of me, you have come into a situation where you have conflicting thought what to do. I created that conflict for you. This situation has come because of me, and I again came back to you to speak to you and again created a conflicting environment for you. I feel I'm very bad. Bhagwan, I will not force you to do anything. Whatever you tell me, I'll do. But the kingdom, I only want to mark one word to you. The kingdom belongs to you. It's your kingdom. Please don't tell me to become the king and all those things. I will not. It's your kingdom. You decide what you want to do. I will only take it up as a job of serving you. So you tell me what to do. So Bhagwan told Bharatji that you should go and serve. I have to go to the forest and I need to fulfill that. Now father is also not there. You should take care of the kingdom. How, why and all, he never asked. He said why? Because the people who are bound or have love towards God and they have surrendered towards God, they know one thing very clearly, that I may or may not be capable to do that work. But God has given me that work. He is all powerful. He has given me that work, so He will also give me the capability to fulfill that. Because He is Sarva Samarth. He is Sarva Shaktiman. He is all powerful. He is all capable. What is that which Bhagwan cannot do? All of the people who serve God as saints and all, you see that thing coming out from all of them. And that's exactly what I gave you as an example of other people also, like our great saints who have been in this creation. And I gave you a couple of examples. You see Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayanand Ji. You see Pujya Maharashtra Swami Akhandanand Ji. You see Pujya Guruji Swami Subodhanand Ji. Bhagwan Shankaracharya Ji. A name. What kind of fruit would they were motivated with? They worked more than a normal person. I told you, any saint, any great saint, their life you look at, they work 18-20 hours. Because their purpose is, it's God's work. Before I leave this creation, I should give as much as possible to back to the creation, because God wants me to do it. It's His work. That's why you'll see in the work of great saints, there is a different kind of divinity which comes out. Their work becomes divine because their intent and their motivating factor is different. Their purpose of doing some action is different. They are doing for the happiness of God, and they only keep looking that, if is my God happy or not. Their decision of action will be, they will first see, is this something which will keep my God happy, or is this going to be something which will give trouble to them? Those things which they feel that is going to, not according to what God would want, they will drop that straight away. It doesn't matter, they will overlook their desire, they will overlook their duty also. That's the kind of work, our great saints who we call Mahapurush, that is the kind of siddhi they have achieved in their life. That is the kind of achievement of them in their life. Because of this kind of an attitude, we call such great saints as Siddha Purush. They are Siddha. What is their attitude? Their attitude towards Bhagwan is Aham Bhaktaha, I am your devotee. Aham Tasya Dasaha, I am your humble servant. You give me whatever you want me to do, I will do for you, Bhagwan. I am only an available instrument in your hand. You see, that is why their work starts to speak. Their work starts to touch people. Their work starts to touch society. Their work starts to touch masses. They may not have intended to touch masses at all, but the work is such because it's a devotion to God, and God is seated in everyone. Their work starts to touch people. And trust me, such saints, they never have to think about their Yogakshema at all. As I mentioned in the 45th verse, they are near Yogakshema already. Because when God starts to be happy from you, what kind of desires don't get fulfilled? All the desires which are required, good for that person, will automatically come to that. And that's what the life of such saints speak about. Bhagwan, my desire is not important. You should be happy. In Narad Bhakti Sutra, there is the sutra which comes, Tat Sukhi Sukhitvam. I am happy with your happiness. Narad Bhakti Sutra, this is a sutra which comes. That what is a true devotee? That devotee whose happiness is actually God's happiness, is his happiness. He is happy when God is happy. For him, his desires doesn't matter at all. Such kind of a person, you see, why will he not start to impact society? Why will his or her work, not touch the masses in the society? Of course, their contribution is much. And just think, their intent is only to keep God happy, and with that happiness, trust me, their desires, what are required, will also get fulfilled. Their duties will also get fulfilled. And the biggest thing is that they will start to realize that they are progressing well on their vertical development also. Why will they be left behind? Because at every effort, every work, they feel more closer to God. They feel that their journey is right. Their end goal is God, and they have started walking that path. Inch by inch, piece by piece, they are actually coming near God. The moment they start to come near God, their dependency on the world and worldly things starts to go away. The moment we start developing this feeling of getting dependent on God, our dependency or other factors, other things in this life starts to loosen up. That's what exactly Bhagwan is wanting to say, that beyond, such people keep it this way, that beyond my happiness is actually the happiness of God. If he is happy, I am happy. Doesn't matter that my desires are fulfilled also or not. This is what Bhagwan is wanting to say here in this particular verse. With this verse, we should actually look within us in terms of what are our key motivating factors in life. Is it all bound by desire alone? Is it bound by duty, or is it bound by God? And I told you with the 3 levels. Desire bound person, it's very easy for that person to fall back into demotivated state, because every desire won't get fulfilled. And when a desire is not fulfilled, the first thing which will strike down is the motivation to work, because the purpose of work was only desire. And desires, there is no dearth of desires at all in life. The problem with desires, one bigger problem with desire is that desire, when it gets fulfilled, it increases more. Whereas duty, once it gets fulfilled, it leaves away the action. remember the action falls back. Action goes away. It will make you free once the duty is fulfilled. Whereas desire, once a desire is fulfilled, more desires will arise. And there is no dearth of desires at all in this creation. So this person will never find solace. This person is never going to find happiness, because desires keeps multiplying every now and then. I'm going to give you an example towards the end of this verse now. Coming back to that point. So first is the person who works for desire as the key motivating factor. The other one is the person who works as duty focused, working towards duty as the key motivating factor. The third and the highest level is the one who keeps God at that periphery. He keeps God at altar, and he works only for the happiness of God. And every action he will keep looking at God, saying that I hope my God is happy with this action. I hope my God is happy with this action. Once we start growing in bhakti a little bit, we will start feeling this happiness from within also. That is one parameter which starts to come to us as we grow in bhakti. Those people who are duty bound, they may not understand the secret of this Ishwar Parayan life, or this life of complete devotion or surrender to God. I gave you many examples, though I think I missed one name which is very important for me to bring up here. Meera-ji and the gopis of Vrindavan. Just think what fruit they had in mind to actually work towards get devoted to Bhagwan. Just think of it. Read Srimad Bhagavad, you will know what kind of a devotion gopis had. Narad Bhakti Sutra, to Bhagwan Narad Muniji brings out gopis as an example of real love and devotion towards God. A real example of bhakti towards Bhagwan. He brings that up. So, this is the kind of thing we need to understand. Such divinity starts to flow into this, the work of such people who are completely bound by the happiness of God, who are completely devoted towards the happiness of God, so not bound by the happiness of God, devoted towards the happiness of God, that people start to see a surprising expansion in their work, surprising expansion in their influence in the society, surprising expansion in their quantum of work. They see it started at a very small level, don't know how, by God's grace, where it has reached. I'm telling you very honestly, as a very, very small example, I'll tell you, when I started podcast, it was only for a few in the class to actually listen to them when they missed the class. But see where we have reached. And I've done nothing to, do this at all. No marketing, nothing at all. It's all God's grace, how He functions. He only, reaches out to people. He only connects people. He only keeps people coming in. He only gets His work over there. Because, we are not the people who actually work towards that thing at all. There is one bhajan which I feel very much fascinated by. मेरा आपकी कृपा से सब काम हो रहा है, करते हो तुम कन्हैया मेरा नाम हो रहा है. And that's a truth of life of every bhakta, that actually he is the one who's doing all the action, but the credit he starts giving it to people who become an instrument. Instrument has got what credit? It's all his grace and his blessings only which speak through all this, Siddha Purush and great saints, so to say. So that kind of divinity starts to be visible in this particular person's work. Another example also I'll give you, Swami Vivekananda ji. You see how many people he touched. I gave you one quotation from his life also. I gave you one real life example from his life also in one of the sessions there. So a bhakta or a devotee, he is completely devoted, drowning in devotion to God, and his only parameter to check is that my God should be happy. It is immaterial my desires are fulfilled also or not. In Srimad Bhagavad also, one katha comes of Kuchelan, we call it. He was a friend of Bhagwan. That life story is also very good to bring out. But I'll bring it up in some different context over there. So his life is full of satisfaction. He is fully contented. Why? Because if it's God is happy, what else is required as a contentment? So people see that, there is a very different kind of a surprising kind of an expansion is in his work. One example which I gave you, which Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji brings up, that are the kind of people who are actually working. They are the people who understood the secret of karma or action. They are the people who actually are contributing towards the creation. He says, what to talk about the normal people? I gave you that line in the last session towards the end. Pashwa dibhya samana. They are, or the normal people are like animals only. Harit trinam drishtva dhavate. Dandapanim drishtva palayate. He says, Pashwa dibhya samana means the other people are just working like animals. Harit trinam drishtva. A cow, when it sees a green grass, it runs towards it. Harit trinam drishtva dhavate. It runs towards it, seeing green grass. And dandapanim drishtva palayate. When it sees that somebody is running with stick, holding a stick in their hand or rein in their hand, they start to run away from them. So this is the kind of life of a person who is filled with desire, and his only motivation to work in life is desire fulfillment. So Bhagavan says how low that person has fallen, and this person has got no escape at all, because I told you, desires fulfillment is an impossible task. Because desires, once fulfilled, they grow more into new fields, new arena. One can never fulfill all the desires of anyone in this life. And I give one example I gave you, and I said it in one of the sessions before also, that there is enough to fulfill everybody's need in this creation, but there is not enough to fulfill one person's greed. So that is the situation of greed and the desire we speak about now. Moving on from there, one thing I want to bring out, how it translates to all of us in terms of when we become duty bound. I'll give you one example for you to understand. A person who is duty bound understands that my body and my antakarana, which is my internal equipment, which is man, buddhi, chitta and ahankar, which means mind, intellect, ego and memory, they are nothing but, it's a karya karana sanghat. They are given to me to fulfill my work towards my vertical achievement, or they are given as an equipment to me to lead a comfortable life. Now leave aside for a moment that person who is devoted towards God. I'm just coming to the person who is duty bound. A person who is duty bound, now see how his thinking process, his or her thinking process will change. When he feels that this body and this internal equipment is an equipment given to me to lead a comfortable life, his automatic focus will be towards things like, what I eat. He will take care of his karya karana sanghat. Karya karana sanghat means body, and the karana means antakarana I am talking about. Karya means body is a karya, is a result. So karya karana sanghat, it's a cause and effect relationship which is there between body and everything. So his karya karana sanghat, this equipment he is going to take care. All of them are equipment. The internal equipment is man, buddhi, chitta and ahankar, which I call it body, mind, intellect and mind, intellect, memory and ego. And body is also one and given as a equipment for you to function through this one. So a person who is duty bound and who knows that this equipment is given to me, these equipments have been given to me to fulfill my duty, and I need to protect this as an equipment so that I am able to fulfill my duty well. Such a person will automatically have his focus towards taking care of his food, ahar, vihar means who he interacts with, where he goes, where he gets up, which company he gets into, nidra, his sleep, asan means, asan pranayam, which we call it, yoga, etc. because he is trying to maintain this equipment. Then, and Sandhya Vandan for his internal equipment. Sandhya Vandan means puja, prarthana, japa and etc. Bhajan and etc. This person, because he is duty focused and he knows this equipment is given to him to fulfill his duty, he will automatically focus towards it to, take care of it so that it functions well. Now we will see that this is a factor which we need to understand, and I think I said in some other portion also. Please remember, like what asan, pranayam, gym, etc. are for the physical body, our bhajan, prarthana, japa, satsang, etc. are for our internal body. Internal body means internal equipment. I can see that there is a lot of focus on the external body maintenance, but there is very less focus towards the internal equipment. We somehow forget the importance of ensuring that we are protecting what we see, what we watch, what we hear, where we go, which company we associate with. We don't understand these things start to leave an impact on our internal equipments. And trust me, I'm telling you, so you see, so you hear, so you engage into, slowly, gradually you start becoming like that. So, why during a day or during every day some amount of bhajan and others are required is because so that it keeps our focus correct. I'm giving you one example which I'm bringing out here. Some student heard this podcast and things, and they contacted me and started to do bhajan and other things. Now see, it's a very sad thing that their parents seeing them told them that I don't want you to become a sannyasi, so stop all those things and focus on what has been given to you. Now where did bhajan and prarthana in a day make you a sannyasi? I do not know where this thought process has come into. This thought process is wrong. You don't understand. If you really want your kids to perform well, you want them to focus and get at the desired result, this is a must for them. They are not going to become a sannyasi just by doing in puja, prarthana and bhajan. That is to keep their sanctity correctly. There is so much things there outside which can corrupt anybody's mind. Who will protect them? Their focus on study will go. There are students I have seen who have got complete focus on studies, but after a time they lose. Because who will protect the environment? How will you protect from the external environment? For the external environment protection, you need an internal strength. You need to continuously work on a gym for your mind, intellect, memory and ego. Who is going to train you there? Who is going to build the muscles for that? For that is what satsang is. That is what bhajan is. That is what prayer is. That is what going to temple does to us. Those things we have lost, and we spend most of the time there outside in other things also. I'm not saying asan, pranayam, gym, etc. is not important. Definitely body is as an equipment given to you. You must take care of it. But please remember, body is not the only equipment. More important than body is the mind, intellect, memory and ego, which functions, which lets the body function. Who will protect you from running after wrong things? Who will stop you from there? Who will control them? Because they are the driver of this body. Body doesn't have a desire of its own. Desires come from mind, intellect and ego and memory. Who will protect them? For that there is nothing at all. People don't want to do it also. They don't want to listen, they don't want to go to satsang, they don't want to go to temple, they don't want to do bhajan, they don't want to do japa. All these things, sandhya, vandan, etc. are given for actually the internal equipment, which are the one which is driving our life. And then when the life hits back and they fall flat, and then they say, no, nobody told me. And I'm sorry to use the thing that in between, I do not know what happens to some parents also. They think that just by doing bhajan and all they are going into sannyas line. Who said that? I do not know where this thought process come from. And they think, probably the thought process coming that bhajan and sandhya etc. are only for sannyasis. Who said that? They don't need all these things. They already have reached somewhere else, the sannyasis. For them, sandhya vandan is also not there once somebody becomes a sannyasi. Sandhya vandan and all is not there for them because they have already reached somewhere else. What these Sandhya Vandan are going to take them into, they've already reached there. This actually bhajan etc. is for people like us in this world, so that we have a strong firewall within us that we don't get impacted by every small things which happen around us. Otherwise, there is no dearth of events around us. There is no dearth of wrong things also happening around us. Pick up newspaper, pick up television, you see. I've seen people who watch news so much, they get impacted. Who will stop you? I tell you one thing honestly, and I said this in my Mumbai satsang as well. Trust me, prayer is something without which you should never leave home. You should never interact with anyone till the time you've done your prayers. That is the importance of prayers. Never leave home without them. It used to be Amex Travelers Checks logo, but I personally feel it is perfectly applicable for prayers. We should never leave home without them. We do not know what is waiting for us outside. You can't control many things. You may be I'm just giving you an example. Even if you drive on a road, you may be a very careful driver. But do you control everything on the road? You just see around. Every accident doesn't happen because of that person driving the car also. Sometimes it's inflicted from outside. Who will protect you? Those things, that is why to maintain that is why prayer, bhajan, going to temple, etc. everything comes as an important thing. And that's what we need to understand. You see, I'm just giving you another example for you to say, a person who works for God, just see their thought process. They know that the situation is also given by God and the samarthya or the capability also will be given by Him. I'm just giving you another example. When the Vanar Sena, when the force of monkeys and the whole army of monkeys, they went for the search of Sita ji in Treta Yuga, in Ramayana, just think, they only had one thing in mind, that the intent and the goal is only to search Sita ji. For whom? For Bhagwan Ram only, na? And just see how God functions. It's so beautiful and mesmerizing to know how God functions in His way. This creation is so vast and huge. But trust me, I'm telling you, no devotee is left out by Bhagwan. Not even a single one. When these army of monkeys went for the search of Sita ji, they hit roadblock and they reach a place where they are completely tired, they are thirsty, they have no food, they are fuming with hunger. And at that time, suddenly, they land at a place where there is this sannyasini named Swayam Prabha. And she looks at them and says, I am waiting for you. Who told you to wait? Who had designated you to be there? How is she there? She said, I am waiting for you. Here is everything for you all to satisfy your thirst and hunger, and then you can continue your journey. Who planted it? And she said that I am waiting for you. That means Bhagwan has already sent somebody waiting for there on the way. You just do the action. You just decide to work for Him. He will get you all the help on the way. Trust me, when I started this podcast, and now I have many of people who have come forward to help also, contribute also. How? They have come and they are coming. Bhagwan will only take care of all those things. So, He only plants people on the way. Swayam Prabha was waiting there and says, tells the entire army of monkeys that I have been waiting for you. And that means what? Bhagwan has already designated her to help them. Because Bhagwan knows everything. He's already planted her there. He's already designated her there. After so many years, this army of monkeys will come. You have to take care of them. Then you will be free. You see how Bhagwan designates. And when they reached even the shore of the sea, now the seashore is so vast, so to say, they could have landed somewhere else. But they landed up at a place where Sampati was there. Just think. How? They had to stop at the place where Sampati was there. And when Sampati was there, he went and helped them. Now one natural question which should come in our mind is, how did they stop at the place where Sampati was there? They could have stopped somewhere else. Why they stopped only there? We need to understand this is how God functions. This is how He plants people on the way so that it helps us. Because He's already made arrangement for the Bhakta. Why Bhagwan sees that, this Bhakta has started walking, so He starts to keep giving him tools, giving him or her the required things so that his journey progresses. Trust me, He takes care of you, and that's what Niryogatshema is all about. He He fixes up things for you. He gets you the required help. You only have to develop devotion. A bhakta or a devotee starts to think that all these situations are actually sent by God. It's arranged by God in a very beautiful way to help me, and that Bhagwan is himself planning for me. Even though he is the master, he is the God of the entire creation, but he is so sweet that he is creating such situations for me that it helps me. That's why, since he is the one who is there and everywhere, why should I worry? Such a devotee is a blessing for the society. Such a devotee is a blessing for the world. And with such a yoga buddhi, such a karma yoga buddhi, with this kind of an intellect, with this kind of a karma yoga understanding, a common man becomes Mahapurush, becomes a great person. This is what adds greatness to a common man. And he knows that every day I am growing, every day I feel better than yesterday. If I am in the eyes of 10 people today, such a person starts falling into eyes of hundreds and thousands of people in the coming times. This is a benefit which society draws from such a person. But at the personal level also, which is very important, is that he is gaining spiritually, or his vertical growth. He is contributing towards his vertical growth. He started walking the vertical path. That is what is called actually his spiritual gain. In the world of spirituality, he is becoming more and more established. That is his personal gain. Now, on the contrary, if somebody is doing many actions, but day by day they are falling vertically or they are going down vertically, that is the biggest loss after being born as a human being. There is no bigger loss than that. That is what we should set as a parameter for gain and loss. In my satsang in Delhi, which happened last year, I said about this that we should not be that after gaining everything outside we lost everything inside. But remember, even after gaining everything inside, even if we lost some things outside, doesn't matter. I told you just few minutes back that a person whose life is full of desire fulfillment only, the property of desire is such, desire after getting fulfilled is going to bind you, is going to increase. Whereas duty, if this person is devoted towards duty, duty after getting fulfilled, after getting completed, will free you. That's the difference between a desireful life and a dutiful life. And on the other hand, if that person has become a devotee and he starts to give, offer everything unto the lotus feet of Bhagwan, his entire action is for the happiness of Bhagwan, remember, his desire also will start to drop off from him. His duty will also get fulfilled and leave him. And also side by side, his devotion towards God will also grow. That is why I said, kartavya parayanta, or being attached to duty or being focused on duty, bigger than that is actually being focused on God, with which society is also going to gain, and this person at a personal level is also going to gain. One thing more important I want to just highlight here. In 18th chapter, Bhagwan says, Swakarmana tam abhyarchya. Arjun, remember, when a duty is fulfilled, at that time, after the fulfillment of duty, you will slowly, gradually start to get the ability or the capability to grasp the knowledge of Sankhya Buddhi. And this is what Bhagwan is saying as a teaching of Bhagavad Gita, and this is the kind of life Bhagwan is wanting us to think and develop upon, that move away from a life full of desire, move to a life with focus on duty. Better than that is a life with focus on God, because by doing that you will not become swayed in life at all. You will slowly, gradually contribute towards your spiritual growth, your vertical growth also. You will grow yourself and you will help others also to grow. One thing I wanted to just say is that a person, another example or another way to look at the person filled with desire, A person, if is focused completely on desire fulfillment only, there are times when he will fall from his level of duty. He will become kartavya bhrasht. But if a person is, focused on duty, sometime all the legitimate desires of his will automatically get fulfilled. And he will never be called as kartavya bhrasht. He is not going to fall from his duty. He is not going to fall from his dharma. Because I told you, duty is what Bhagwan is dharma is also talking about. A kartavya bhrasht is actually nothing but a dharma bhrasht only. And the person who falls from the level of dharma, he or she cannot think of growing vertically in their life. That is what Bhagwan is wanting to say from this particular verse here. I'll quickly take up what Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji also explains in his Bhashya here. Karmani eva adhikara. Now, I want to just say one thing for Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji's Bhashya. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji's Bhashya is one up than the understanding of what we have understood till now. He is talking one different level. In the next verse also, his Bhashya is really talking about some supreme level of achievement. So understand it from that particular way. Bhagwan says, Karmani eva adhikaraha na jnana nisthayam te tava. You only have, how he has translated the Karmani eva adhikaraha te. He says, you only have right over action. You have no right over gaining spiritual conviction. Or you don't have any right over jnana nishtayam, firm abidance in the spiritual knowledge. Because that's something as a qualification which will come in you provided you correct your way of doing action. There, tatracha karma kurvato ma phaleshu adhikara. That's why what you should do, you should only focus on doing your action. In the fruit level, phaleshu adhikara astu karma phala trishna ma bhoot kadachana kasyanchit api avasthayam iti artha. What you should do, you should understand this way that you have only right of action, karma marga. Okay? You have no right over your fruit of action at all. That's why, arthat, in any state, kasyanchit api avasthayam iti artha. In any state, you should never ever focus towards or move towards desire for the fruit of action. For the fruit, astu karma phala trishna ma bhoot. You should never ever focus on the fruit of action, or you should never fall into, in any state, avasthayam. There are three popular avastha we talk about now. There are 3 plus 3 avasthas we talk about. One is Jagrit, Swapna and Sushupti. Swapna we have no control, what we desire over there. Of course, our desires in waking state only showcase there also. But another avastha we call about is past, present and future. That's also avastha we talk about here. So he says that, never ever should be a time when you should have desire, or you should have deep desire or deep focus towards your fruit of action. Yada karma phale trishna te syat, tada karma phala prapte hetuhu syat. If karma phale trishna, if you have desire for the fruit of action, if you have come into such a way, or if you have developed desire for fruit of action, then you will become the cause of gaining that fruit of action. You will become the cause of those fruit which is bound to come to you. Means what? You will have to come back again to bear those fruit. That's why evam ma karma phala hetubuhu. That's why you should not become the cause or the reason for the fruit of action to be given to you. So that means leave aside the fruit of action. Don't get overtly attached to it at all. Yada hi karma phala trishna prayuktah karmani pravartate. In case you do action, karma phala trishna prayuktah, keeping in mind fulfillment of your desire, tada karma phalasya eva janmano hetu bhave. Then your action will become the cause, or the fruit of action will become the cause of your repeated births and deaths. They will push you into further births, is what Bhagwan Shankaracharya is bringing up here. Yadi karma phalam na ishyate kim karmana dukkha rupena iti ma te tava Sangha astu akarmani akarane priti ma bhut. And in case you don't, yadi karma phalam na ishyate, in case you do not desire the fruit of action, kim karmana dukkha rupiniti, then the other thought which will come is that, then why should I do this action which is filled with dukkha? Dukkha means sorrow. Why should I do? Then what will happen? Your natural propensity will be what? Sangha astu akarmani. That's, you will fall back into akarmani or inaction. Bhagavan says, Priti ma bhoot. You should not reach that level of getting attached to inaction. Those people who have less desires, the general thing which we see is that since they have less desires, their push towards action will also be less. They will do less action. But I gave you the example of all the great saints here. They had no eye on the fruit of action, but they worked 18, 20, 22 hours. Because till the time their last breath, till the time they attain samadhi, they work like that. That is what Bhagavan is wanting to tell here. Now one line I will bring which Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji says, connecting to the next verse, and I will go into the next verse after that. Yadi karma phala prayuktena na kartavyam karma. In case you are not or doing action, keeping in mind the fruit of action, katham tarhi kartavyamiti, then what is your duty? If the fruit of action is not the duty because of which I am doing in my work, or desire fulfillment is not my duty at all, well then what should be my duty and what should be my focus actually to work on, that Bhagavan is giving in the next verse. So we'll read the 48th verse now and we'll see the meaning from there. And remember, the 48th verse also is continuation of Bhagavan's teaching on Karma Yoga. And I told you in the last session that 47th and 48th verse, Bhagavan is actually elaborating what is Karma Yoga according to Bhagavan, and he's teaching us that. So please listen to this verse also very carefully. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Now Bhagavan in this verse, I will take the literal meaning first before we go into the deep meaning of this particular verse. Yogastha kuru karmani. You should do what Arjun. Remember, there is a word which is used here as Dhananjaya, and this is an address to Arjun. Hey Dhananjaya is Sambodhana Prathama here. Hey Dhananjaya, Tvam Yogastha Kuru Karmani. And then along with it he says Sangam Tyaktva. We can read it this way. Hey Dhananjaya, Sangam Tyaktva Karmani Kuru Yogastha. We can see this way also. Meaning I'll explain it to you that way. Bhagavan says, Arjun, how you should do action? Yogastha, placing firmly yourself in yoga. Yoga means karma yoga. Please don't forget that word here. Now, stha, in Sanskrit, stha is a dhatu here. Stha, sthapane, to firmly place, to fix yourself. And remember, fix means non-wavering, unmoving. Now in temple, if you see the Sanatan Dharma culture of the temple, you will know there are two things in Sanatan Dharma temple where Prana Pratishtha has happened. One is called Sthira Vigraha and one is called Chala Vigraha. Chala Vigraha is also called Utsav Murti, we call it. Sthira Vigraha means a Vigraha which is placed firmly. You can't move that at Vigraha at all, that idol at all. So you will see in Shri Ram Mandir Ayodhya Pratishtha also, there is one Vigraha which is very tall and all, that is a Sthira Vigraha. And there is one Chala Vigraha which is a small one, Utsav Murti, which they do for when they take out Bhagwan for outside yatras and all. Outside yatras mean they do this Nagara Parikrama and all those things which happens during Utsav and all. So you see the Sthira Vigraha, Stha I am trying to explain, is firmly placed. It cannot be moved. During the entire lifetime of a temple, that Vigraha cannot be moved. It's placed there, and there are many ceremonies there to place the Vigraha in Sanatan Dharma that is there. And Chala Vigraha becomes Utsav Murti. So Utsav Murti is the one on whom during festival times and all main festivals and things, they offer everything to that Chala Vigraha, which is called Utsav Murti. So Bhagavan says, Arjun, firmly placing yourself in yoga, in karma yoga, karmani kuru, do your action, and which he has already explained there. Huh? And then he says, what you should do, Dhananjay, additionally to that, sangam tyaktva. You should not have any kind of attachment. Attachment to what? Remember, Bhagavan says, in the previous verse, 47th verse, he said, Mate Sangha Astu Akarmani. You should not get attached to inaction. There the Sangha is used for Akarmani. But here, Sangam Tyaktva, Bhagavan is saying for what? Bhagavan is saying, with the fruit of action, don't get attached to the fruit of action. Sangam Tyaktva. Hey Dhananjaya, you should do action in such a way that your attachment to the fruit of action is not there. You are placed firmly in yoga, karma yoga, and you are doing action. And in the next line, Bhagavan says, what it will give you and how you will become after doing this. Siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva. You will have equanimity of mind. You will have peace of mind. You will have a calm mind at the time of both the results when it comes. Siddhi, asiddhi. Siddhi, asiddhi means when the action give you successful result also, that's siddhi. When the action gives you does not give you the result of a success also, that's called asiddhi. Means success and failure. Samo bhutva. Arjun, you need to develop the attitude of remaining calm at the level of mind and intellect in the days of success also, when you get success also, and also when you get failure of action also, or you do not succeed in your action also. And he says, Bhagavan says, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. This equanimity of mind, Arjun, is what I am calling as yoga, karma yoga. That's what Bhagavan is meaning by this particular verse here. So in the last verse explanation, I spoke about the three kind of people, no? The one who focuses on desire fulfillment, one who focuses on duty fulfillment, and the other one who focuses on God fulfillment or Ishwar Parayanta. I'll give one more example to explain this particular verse also. One example which we usually feel is very easy for us to understand. As parents, somebody spends time, somebody invests in their children as fulfillment of their duty towards them. That's one kind of parent I'm talking about. Another kind of parent in the same example is who helped grow their children or who invested their time and effort in their children with the purpose of desire fulfillment. What is the difference at both places? I'll explain you so that it's easy for you to understand. It's a very real life example here. If parents do fulfill their duty towards their children as focused on duty alone, that they are doing this as part of their duty towards them, God has assigned them. Remember, once the children are settled, these parents will become free. Free means what? Free not to go and play cards and all. I'm not talking about that. Free means they will be free to devote their time on their own spiritual evolution after that. Vis-a-vis the other parents, I gave an example. Those parents who helped grow their child out of desire fulfillment. Because it was out of desire fulfillment, they will definitely have expectation from the children. That once they grow, they should take care. And remember, if the child doesn't fulfill their desire, that will become a reason for them to feel depressed and feel completely whacked in life, which we see around also. But if they have helped grow their children with a sense of duty towards them, trust me, they have no expectation at all. Because duty doesn't give you expectation. And if they have done their duty well, why do you think those kids won't give back to the parents? But that the purpose is not to look for that. But I'm saying those parents who did spend time and effort, money on their children out of desire, they have a reason or cause already there for them to completely get derailed in life, for them to be completely devastated in life, for them to be completely feeling depressed in life when the children do not fulfill their expectation. The moment you do duty, there is no place for expectation. And above that, what I said, if you do it as a duty towards them because God has given you that, you will definitely do your best, number one. Number two, doing that duty also will slowly, gradually move you towards your vertical growth. It will move you towards your, God. It will move you towards devotion. And slowly, gradually, once that duty gets completed and your children start to stand on their own feet and they are settled, you will start to move back into your area of devotion to further grow that and achieve things in your life. Another facet which I want to bring out from that duty-bound life is that, in normal parlance in life, when we do an action, it is but natural that every action can have two kind of immediate results for us, or temporary results for us, or whichever way we call it. That is called raga and dvesha. Everyone has it, and every action has it. And these things of raga means attachment, dvesha means aversion. Dvesha means completely averse to something. Every person, there are things which some person like, some person don't like. I'm giving you, you take any example there. Food also. Two people in the same house may have different liking for different kind of food. Right? Something which is very, is part of very much liking for one person may not be the same for the other person. So this liking and disliking thing goes with us throughout our life. So that means raga and dvesha will always be there with us. Now just think, if a person is working for fulfillment of that person's desire, and that is the focus in life, those things or those people who he has got dvesha towards, aversion towards, that person will not be able to do his duty. But if the person is focused on kartavya, on duty, even if the person in front of him towards whom his duty is there, is part of or is the portion of his dvesha, his aversion, because it's his duty, that person will not let that dvesha or aversion lead this person and to not do his duty. Rather, he will overcome that aversion to do his duty. Raga also the same thing. I can do several permutation combinations of that. Means what? For such a person, the attachment or aversion will not rule his mind, his or her mind, when it comes to the level of action. Raga and dvesha will be there. Means that aversion and attachment will be there, but they will not have so much pressure, they may not have so much force towards the action to lead to do or not to do. Now remember, when you do an action with attachment, you can all think of yourself also. Whenever an action is done with attachment, trust me, that attachment will make you blind towards certain things in that action. So it is very important to be free from attachment when you do an action. Or don't worry, it's not easy to be free from attachment. Let that attachment not be the prime factor guiding you to the work. You should do it independently. There is one verse in 3rd chapter where Bhagavan says, Indriyasya indriyasya raga dvesho vyavasthitau. Bhagavan says, Tayor navasham agached. Arjun, raga and dvesha are in our senses, all our senses, in every vishaya, every subject, every object of our senses will have this raga and dvesha. How you should be, tayor na vasham agachet, but you should not come under their control. What usually happens is, most of us, if we see as a common man, agar our attachment and our aversion guides us into different action. Why should I say that? I gave you one example in some episodes before. There are some movies which come up that they have kept the dvesha, the family feud between them for generations to come, and their generations live their life only to take the revenge from those people. Can you imagine what a waste of life? This raga and dvesha is such a deep thing. If we don't control it, it starts to control us. Our raga and dvesha, or our attachment and aversion, should be controlled by us, not that they are controlling us. But if you look at yourself, all of us today, actually most of our actions are controlled by our attachment and aversions. Bhagavan in the 3rd chapter, 34th verse says this: Indriyasya indriyasyarthe ragadvesho vyavasthitau tayor na vasham agachet. Arjun, don't come into their sway. You see this, how I can define this in this way, raga and dvesha. See, liking and disliking. It starts with liking and disliking. Okay? Liking and disliking is also raga and dvesha, by the way. But remember, liking and disliking is there in everyone. But don't let it become deep. Now, for example, some colors I like, some colors I don't like. That's there with everyone. Some food I like, some food I don't like. Right? In the same way, some kind of behavior I like, some kind of behavior I don't like. Now, just because I like some color and I don't like some color, do you think that the color will not appear in front of me? Do I have control on that? Just because I like some food and I don't like some food or dislike some food, do you think that from the creation that food I dislike will vanish? No, there will be chances when it will come. But you can choose not to come under this way and take it up. Don't end up in such a way that something you dislike or hate, when it comes to you, you are stuck. You don't know what to act. Don't come like that. He says these kind of things of liking and disliking is there in everyone. And we should not come under their control. Rather, we should keep them under our control. When a person is duty bound, remember, this person is not bound by anything. I told you in the previous verse also, desire actually binds us. Duty frees us. This is a simple line you should understand. The another thing I told you was, desire once it's fulfilled increases, but duty once it's fulfilled goes away or leaves us. That's the beauty of duty and beauty of duty and desire. Anyway, so that's the way it is. So, in the life of a duty, firmly placed in a duty, remember, this person will always be free. Why? Because he's not going to be bound by anything. On the other side of it, higher than that, a person who is devoted to God, just see that person. This person who is devoted to God, because remember, his attachment is towards God. His focus is towards God. Now that kind of a person will never be swayed or never come under the control of his attachment and aversions. These is, attachment, raga and dvesha can never rule over a bhakta. Because he has accepted the rule of God, other rules have no ability to rule over such person. All this person's work, all this person's efforts are only keeping in mind that my God should be happy. My God should be happy, and that starts developing yoga buddhi in us, and that slowly, gradually leads us to actually Sankhya buddhi. Now, one thing I want to highlight here before I end the session today, Bhagavan uses the address called Dhananjaya. Now, I told you in Bhagavad Gita, this is one thing which is very, worth appreciating and worth highlighting and worth giving focus upon. Bhagwan is so great, I tell you. Every terminology he uses, including the address of Arjuna, is filled with meaning. I don't know what should I tell you about the beauty of Bhagavad Gita. I don't think there can be a better teacher than Bhagwan, by the way. What a beautiful thought flow. What a beautiful way of expression. What a way of topic development. He develops topic in such a way, I'm sure, had we got the opportunity to look at how Bhagwan was giving Bhagavad Gita in Kurukshetra, we must have seen that Bhagwan must have looked at Arjun's way, facial expression, his intellectual level of understanding must be coming up with topics in exactly the same way. That it reaches a point where Bhagwan stops and Arjun's question sprouts out. See, I would say that master, that's why Bhagwan is, Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. He is the teacher of this whole creation actually. The way he develops. Now see here, he uses the word addressed to Arjun as Hey Dhananjaya. I think I gave you this example before also. Dhanan Jayati iti Dhananjaya. The one who has won over wealth. Now this address was given to Arjun when Maharaj Yudhishthir was told to do Rajasuya Yagya. Then they said that, we've got a new kingdom now, we don't have much money, what to do and all. So Arjun said, don't worry, brother, you make the arrangements, I'll go and get wealth for you. So he went and defeated many kings and collected lot of money from them. And what to say lot, he got so much money collected from them that Yudhishthir understood that even after using for us also, there will be lot left, spare. So he said, I think we should distribute some of this to the public, to the population, to the people in our kingdom. So what he did, because the wealth was so much, now he said all of our brothers are busy. So he told Duryodhan, now you see this, he told Duryodhan, why don't you distribute this and be open-handed to distribute this. Don't worry about it. You don't need to worry about anything at all. We give you free hand to distribute this. And now just think, if someone is entrusted with the responsibility of distributing somebody else's wealth and given an instruction that, be open-handed to distribute it, and that person who has been entrusted is also Duryodhan, who was already against Pandavas. Now you can think that how he must have distributed. I don't have to explain that to you at all. But it is said that even with open-handed distribution by Duryodhan, he just could not finish that wealth. That's the kind of wealth which Arjun has collected. And after that only, after the Rajasuya Yagya only, this name also came to him, Dhananjaya. Dhananjaya is a very beautiful name, by the way. Anyway, Bhagwan says, Arjun, you must have won over wealth so much. You have definitely won over so many things. You have so much capability and caliber also. Arjun, I am telling you, so what? You have all these things. You may not be a sannyasi, but trust me, Arjun, you also can develop this skill. You have already so many victories to your credit, Arjun. You have many external victories to your credit. Trust me, Arjun, just not that external victory alone. In spite of them, you have been successful till now. In spite of them, you have not got swayed by them too much. Trust me, you are a right candidate. You can develop this as well. That's why Bhagwan is addressing Arjun with this word called Dhananjaya. So the reason Bhagwan must have brought this up here is, Arjun, you may have got the name of Dhananjaya by winning external wealth, but trust me, I would call Dhananjaya to that person who has got this wealth of Karma Yoga or Yoga Buddhi. Because this is the biggest wealth to achieve. Arjun, you have already achieved that external wealth and got this name. you can work towards it and get this one also, because this is the person whom I will actually call Dhananjaya, because this is the wealth which one needs to win over, one needs to gain in life. So Bhagavan says, Arjun, Kuru karmani sangam tyaktva yogastha. That's why, Arjun, leave aside the attachment to the fruit of action. Without getting attached to the fruit of action, do your action. Whatever duty is present in front of you, do all of them. And do how? Yogastha. Placing yourself firmly in the karma yoga, you continue to do your actions. And once you do that, Arjun, that is when you will actually start to gain the benefits of karma yoga. And while doing this, you should need to remember, always focus that the attachment to fruit is not growing in you. Commonly what we do is, we attach ourselves to the fruit and then we do the action. Bhagavan is telling here to Arjun, Arjun, the way of doing action this way, you must leave. What Bhagavan said in the previous verse, Bhagavan is explaining here in a little bit differently here actually. Now, to get into the detail, I'll go into some detail now, remaining I'll go in the next session. We need to think, what is Bhagavan wanting to say here from us? There is one popular proverb in Sanskrit, Prayojanam anuddishya mandopi na pravartate. Or we can say this, Vina phalam uddishya mandopi na pravartate. Without keeping the fruit in mind, even a fool will not act. And to some extent it sounds correct also. Now, leave aside the fool or not fool, I need you to understand what we need to get from this particular line here. Just think and divide the action into two portions now. Action is in present tense, whereas fruit is in future tense, right? Fruit is not in present tense at all. Because when you do action, fruit will always come in the future tense. It's always in the future. Now, if the fruit is in the future, okay, and if you overtly get attached to the fruit of action, remember what you're going to lose is the present, which is the only thing available with you to do it correctly. That's the only thing in your hand. Future is not in your hand at all. Now, when Bhagavan says, Phaleshu adhikarama, take it in this way also, in the future is not in your hand, but present is definitely in your hand. If you shape up your present well, if you work hard in your present, you don't have to worry for the future. But if you worry for the future, remember, present is also gone and future is also unsecured. Now, what Bhagavan means here, now we need to just go inside and understand. Okay, without fruit in mind, how will you plan an action? Fruit has to be kept in mind for doing an action, no? Like for example, I'll give you one example for you to understand here. If a person wants to become an engineer, he wants to become an engineer, no? He or she wants to become an engineer, then he will look for an engineering college, he will look for the books of engineering college, he'll look for the required tools to get there and all those things. But if the engineering college is also not kept in mind, what will guide his action? So, without fruit in mind or keeping the fruit in mind, you cannot plan an action also. Like without, seeing the destination, without planning or thinking of the destination, how will you plan your travel? I want to go. The first question is, where do you want to go? Now, if the where is defined, that's when the other corresponding things will be defined, no? Okay, like for example, if I have to go from Chandigarh to Delhi, then I have several modes to travel. I can go by road also, I can go by train also, I can go by flight also. Then I'll see which mode suits me better considering the time, money and other things also. But I have to keep the destination in mind first, no? So, the fruit of action is actually the destination. Destination you have to keep in mind. to actually plan out your action. But when Bhagwan says ma phaleshu kadachana, and he says ma karma phala hetur bhuhu, he says don't get caught up in the fruit and lose your present. Oh, I want to go to Delhi, and I start sitting here and dreaming that I've reached Delhi and I've done my work. Then your trip is done. Nothing will work out. Don't do that. Don't get overtly focused on the future. Keep future in mind. Keep the end goal, end result in mind. Keep the fruit in mind to plan out your action. But that is the only thing required from the fruit. To plan out your action, to keep your destination ready so that you can make all the arrangements to go there. So when it says Vina phalam uddishya, it's not about the normal person also, without keeping fruit in mind, they cannot do action. Action cannot be done without actually having a fruit in mind. But Bhagavan is saying don't get overtly attached to the fruit. Sangam tyaktva. Remember, the word is sangam. He is not saying don't keep the fruit in mind at all. That action cannot be done. Bhagavan is not talking to you an impractical thing at all. Bhagavan is talking to you something which can be doable. How do we translate this to be doable? Now, there are certain levels which you need to understand and this. The first thing is, when we see this thing, attachment to the fruit can be divided into two portions. This is what I wanted to bring to before I, complete the session today. The first attachment is the fruit has to be presented in front of the intellect to actually define a course of action. So it's not attachment, but it has to be kept. It has to be shown to the intellect to plan out the action. So we say that that sang is required. Fruit has to be presented to the intellect to actually plan out an action. But Bhagavan is saying what? The other attachment which happens is that don't get attached to you. Don't let the fruit get attached to you. Means what? Yes, the fruit has to be shown to the mind to plan out the course of action, to work towards that, to achieve it. But who do you want to get that fruit for? Don't desire the fruit for you. You should not get attached to the fruit. Let the mind or intellect see the fruit to plan out the action. I used one word in the earlier part of the podcast which I am bringing out here today. You remember I said Ved Bhagwan is asking us, Kasmai Devaya Havisha Vidhema. You are doing action. Who is the Devata you are doing your action for? Who are you devoting your actions for? Look inside you. I hope it's not you yourself. Now I'm giving you another example to, another thing to just explain this here. You see many people around here, they are only ending up living a selfish life of me and myself. And I give you one example in the previous and the Mumbai satsang also. How much money you want to live, but there are people who are wasting their life resources to hold money, which are not even going to be useful for them, which are not even going to be useful for their own families. Kasmai Devaya Havisha Videma. Ved Bhagwan is asking us, knock the door of your heart and ask this question to yourself. Who are you doing your action for? Which deity? Kasmai Devaya. Which deity? Who is the deity in you who you have done a pratishtha, for whom you are doing an action? I hope the deity is not you. I hope you are not doing your action for you yourself with a selfish reason in mind. And I told you in the last session also that if we really think of a duty, we have duty towards so many things in the society. I didn't create the school I went to. Somebody else did it. I don't do anything to maintain the law and order in this society. Somebody else does this. I didn't create a teacher. I didn't teach myself. Some teacher did. There are no dearth of duties towards what we have towards so many things we have received. Remember, I must say this thing to you. one thing which we must mark in our mind is that wherever and from whomever we receive, we have a duty towards them to contribute. Whether it is nation, whether it is parents, whether it is society, whether it is teacher, whether it is, state, anything which you can call it. Now think, I'm giving you one more example for you to say. When an athlete participates in a athletics thing which is organized, there are two ways an athlete can and work towards. One is for his country, one is for he himself alone. Own selfish desire. The one who works for selfish desire, remember, won't go far. But the one who has got devotion towards the country, who offers that his work is going to be an addition to the country, is going to add a star to the country, it's my contribution to my country because it's been given me so much. Trust me, his work will go very far and will definitely add greatness to that work. So guys, we must remember, in life we have received so much that we are duty bound to contribute also to them. We should never leave that at opportunity at all. Sometimes what happens is, Puja Maharaj Shri Swami Akhandanandji used to say this very beautifully. Many people, it's their day that they can give, but they don't have a heart to give. Din hai, par dil nahi hai. And there are some people who have a heart to give, but it's not a day for them to give. Dil hai, par din nahi hai. So these are two things. Now just think, din hai par dil nahi hai. You never know when that opportunity also, or the capability of you to give also will go. I told you one thing, the biggest thing what our earning can do is add to our punya. And remember, some punya is required to come towards spiritual studies also, to meet a guru also, to meet somebody and to understand the scriptural sides also. The thing is, din hai par dil nahi hai. Everything they are holding for themselves. Don't want to give, don't want to contribute, don't want to give anything to anyone. It's only for me. I don't want to give tax, I don't want to give it to my school, I don't want to give it to my country. Everything is for me and myself. How long will you go? You will lose the opportunity. You do not know what is in store for you in the next life. So, wherever we get, we must cultivate that we have a duty to contribute towards them, and we must do it, because that's part of our duty. Now remember, there are people who I have also seen who have got day also, and they have got a good heart to give also. I've come across such people also, who have got capability also, and they've got a huge heart to give also. There are people who have got capability also, but may not have a big heart to give. Some people give, but they give, if okay, that's fine, they're at least doing that much. There are people who have the capability but don't give also. There are so many kind of people we can see. So remember, our life, if we are duty bound to so many things that we must give back to them. Bhagavan says, Arjun, don't get overtly attached to the result at the level of main, at the level of aham. Don't get attached to the result. At the level of mind, show the result to the intellect or mind for them to plan the action. And then what will happen? And once you are able to do that, what will usually happen is siddhya siddhyo samobhutva. Even when you are successful or unsuccessful, you will remain equanimous. Remember, those people who are too much attached to result, they are the people, once the result don't come, get devastated. And when the result come, they go much into, some people go so much swayed into celebrations, they drink, dance or whatever, and they, add things which are ruining their life also. I'm not going to talk about that, but the thing is, siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. This equanimity is what Bhagavan calls as yoga. Rest we will see in the next session. Kayena vacha manasendriyairva buddhyatmana va prakrite swabhavat karomi adyat sakalam parasmai narayanaeti samarpayami Shriman Narayanaeti samarpayami. ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। ओम तत्सत्।